Is that fancy juice? What is that? Is that iron brew?
It's no. Oh, it should have been. It's raspberry lemonade. Matching my hat.
That's really fancy. I've only got peppermint tea. I feel boring now.
Matches your outfit.
All right, cool. Well, finally, debrief about show.
Oh my God, it's only taken us how many months?
It feels like a year's gone by.
I know.
But it's only been a month and a half, surpringly.
I know, that's mad.
Yeah, it feels so much longer because of everything that's happened, hey?
Yeah, it literally feels so much like I feel like I don't even remember it was so far off, like so long ago.
Yeah, I know.
Well, if you can't remember it, I made a memory book of it.
Did you?
Oh!
That's so
It's
cute.
like, dear diary, here are all my special memories.
I was actually thinking of doing something like that because I saw the pile of Polaroids and I was like, I need to stick these in a book. This needs to go in a whole thing.
Oh my God, I even put your postcards in, like you're my children.
Oh, look at us!
It's
Yeah, this was meant to be for you guys. And then I was like, no.
It's more important that it's my party.
Yeah, absolutely. Our other child. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I was actually.
How do you guys feel now that it's done?
I don't know, it was such a blur, and then obviously all this happened afterwards. It does feel like it didn't happen a little bit.
It's like a dream, like a distant dream.
Yeah.
The fact we actually got to do it, I am like super thankful that we actually got
God, I
put it on.
So grateful. What would we have done? We would have been.
I would have been
so
shocked.
confused and shattered. Yeah, it would have been really. Which makes me feel for anyone else who had all their things cancelled. I really felt for the comedy festival as well.
Yeah.
I mean, but like everyone who's, it's just crazy to see how many dreams, that are like wrapped up in events and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even realize it until I guess all the stuff's happening. You're like, oh wow, we were very, very lucky. And it was so funny because we were joking so much when you were like, guys, I hope it's not cancelled. I'm like, Rach, crazy talk.
As if.
Worst case scenario here.
Oh my God.
Comes to Tom, I was like, go to the Coles and get some rice. I was already hot on the
Yeah. You're already on it.
Easy Mac.
Yeah. Which is actually ridiculous because I've actually never eaten so much food than this time. Yeah.
So many snackies. It's like food again.
Oh my God. I've been destroyed by those tiny teddies with the chocolate on the back.
Oh yeah.
Crack teddies, they're called.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I reckon I was talking to someone else about this. She works as a musician, and she said that the day everything went down, like she lost all her work. And she had just gone to Broadway to perform in New York, and that was like a real career highlight. But then when she got home, she was expecting to like ride the waves of that success, and but there was just like, firstly, it was kind of inappropriate to talk about, and that because everything was just Corona. And then secondly, it was just like there was nothing to build on anyway because there was no opportunities to perform or do anything. And I feel like it kind of feels a bit similar. Like it just immediately became like kind of weird to talk about because also it was like, well, how can we be talking about this thing that we did when also people can't gather together anymore?
Yeah.
It's really weird to talk about. And also, then it was like, I don't know if you guys feel like it was a bit like, well, what's next? Like I had expected, I don't know, to really like go behind this collection and push it out and everything, which I mean, I think we all still are to some extent, but certainly not as much as we would have, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been able to get any of the fabric, so I haven't been able to make any of it. So I've just kind of like left it for now, and like people will still want it down the line. It's just gonna be a bit different, and like I didn't get to the lookbook shoot or anything as well, so keeping the look together is kind of doesn't feel like that happened.
It's a real time, because like usually you would have this sort of like ripple effect from that, then like launching the collection, really sort of pushing that, and like, you know, as we all discussed, like, you know, having some sort of exhibition to show just how much work and behind the scenes stuff went into this show, because there was so much that people didn't get to experience and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I feel everything you just said, and my brain's gone. The baby. Explain the baby. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's also because, like, in part, like, really, like, VAMFF is like a financial investment as well, and like a publicity thing, as well as obviously like a display of all our arty work and all our, you know, handmade work. So in some ways it was crazy, because it's just like part of the point of doing it is to promote your work, but then it was like completely, like, I don't know, yeah, we kind of like couldn't, and also like didn't feel like it, and it just, obviously the priorities just shifted like immediately.
Yeah.
So it's like weird.
It is
obviously
weird.
super lucky that we got to do it, but yeah. I certainly don't feel at all like it was like a total like anticlimax or anything. I feel like still so like lucky that we got to do it, and I think because we had so many collaborators, and also there were so many people present on the night, doesn't it just feel like a weird forbidden dream now? Like, like that, just like such a like treat. It's just I feel more like wow that we even got to do it. But whatever it was like kind of like quite magical, because of now how forbidden it would be to do something like that for all
it was the last real thing that I saw of the outside world, and I'm so glad it was that vision that I left. You know?
So I feel like any of those little complaints are like more not even complaints, it's just more like how bizarre, like this was the intention of it. But how strange that like we've kind of been given this weird gift of like this really sweet memory to tide us through this time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you've still got the poodle dog behind you.
Oh, I know.
Are you keeping it, or are you gonna sell it?
No, I think I want to keep it.
Yeah, I think you should keep it.
How much is it otherwise? Turn it into my screen.
Imagine if you do that, just be like, select things and be like, I want that, I want that.
Select. No, that poodle is too good. I actually have a costume I made for Hugo, which was actually then ended up on Daisy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's so good. I saw it and I was like, dead, done.
I actually tried to put it on Hugo, not Daisy. He was so friggin' mad about it. I've got some photos that can't go on Instagram because he looks too sad. Torture with pom-poms.
Oh, stop it. Oh my god. It's too much. Did you guys prep any questions you wanted to ask anyone?
Yeah.
Ellie, so Rachel's face is like, no. I mean,
just gonna think on the fly. Questions in my heart.
You gotta go. Yeah.
Okay, well, who should I ask first? Who wants to answer a question first? Be put on the spot.
Rachel's face is like,
okay, I'll ask Lara first then. I was wondering, because you did a lot of the kind of calling sponsors and kind of organizing a lot of the actual like stuff that was in the show, what was the hardest part about organizing it?
Well, I guess organizing and planning is my forte. So
true.
In terms of like the hardest part, I think it was more you're right, Rach. You're just sleeping behind those glasses. I think
Homer Simpson.
I think it was coordinating everyone, because there was, I guess, so many sponsors and people that I had to organize and coordinate throughout the sort of, you know, days bumping in on the actual day, and just making sure everything flowed and there was ample time for people to, you know, bump in, or there was the lights, whether it was like Poppies for Grace, I think it was just keeping tabs of all of those, because the amount of, I guess, emails and phone calls I would be on a day just to sort of chase up, double check details, just make sure everyone's on the same page. I think that was the most difficult. And I think next time I would like to split that up a little bit. Just
yeah, fair enough.
I was totally fine doing it, but I think things got out of hand real quick, because it sort of started, oh yeah, we'll just have like alcohol sponsors and this, and then it sort of
that was the thing. It felt like it escalated really quickly.
Yeah, it escalated very quick,
and then it got like massive really quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a bad thing, but it definitely did flip over.
Yeah, it started with just a few sort of people to coordinate, and then it sort of, by the end of it, just like a lot more.
It was like a full production. It was like a theatre production.
Yeah, so it was basically a full production, and then coordinating and organising that on top of actually designing and making the collection. So I would have probably preferred to have more time actually working on my collection, because I didn't feel like I gave it enough time that it needed.
Next time we can engage like an actual event planner or someone to work with us who would just like manage that.
Yeah.
Would Lara be able to handle that?
No, I don't know, because I like
the incompetence of someone else.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm so happy to do it. That's my thing. But I think it was more, now that we know, I guess, the level that we want to sort of present on.
Yeah.
I can factor that in time.
We set a bar.
We've set a very high standard. So I think now that I know the amount of work and people that we want to bring on board to it, I can factor that in and start doing a lot of things much earlier than I did, like in terms of working. But that's an answer to the question.
How do you both feel that it's, because obviously like, Lara, so much work, and like same for you, Ellie, of be like actually making the collection. Do you guys feel like there's a big void now that it's done, or do you feel like it's just immediately been replaced with a new set of work?
I think maybe I feel a bit sad that I've moved on from it, and I definitely want to go back to it, but I'm also not ready to go back to it. Like, I still have it in the garment bags from the show, because I'm kind of like feeling like, okay, I need a break from you, but also want to get it out to people. So that's kind of like, it's that weird mix of not really wanting to have to fuss over it again, but also wanting to share it more. But then it's been quite nice being able to work through my fabric stash. That's something I've been mainly doing since it all kind of died down.
Been doing like old styles or like older styles?
Yeah, and I made like a wee bag design, which isn't something I had before, but it uses like, older fabric and stuff, which has been quite nice.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, it's just mainly that. And I've been nesting in my studio, although it's very messy again. I keep like organizing it and then getting it extremely messy.
Like a stationary
Oh my God, next time we do it, I want to do a documentary in each of these studios. Well, make more documentaries next time.
Documentaries, and you just whipping them up on the daily. An answer to that same question, I guess because everything that went on, and it happened like literally straight after the show, with like the lockdown stuff, I think it was like an immediate shift into a different way of working. So straight after the show, I was like actually pretty busy with work, whether it was orders or whether it was getting the collection quickly out, before everything got too bad. But yeah, I don't know, like it's kind of like a lingering thing. Like, I feel like the collection still hasn't reached its full potential in terms of exploring it and showing people and telling people about it, and it's sort of like sitting there almost waiting, whether that's presenting it and letting people know sort of more of the backstory of the collection. I feel like there's a lot more there that still needs to be sort of shown to the world. But I don't feel like there's a void. I think the work shift and the priorities have just changed a lot, and I've just been thrown straight back into just doing normal work and orders and cuddle coats and stuff. So, but I definitely haven't closed that chapter of It's My Party. I still want to, you know, whether it is put together like a little book or some sort of little write up on it. Yeah, I think that still needs to be done in some way. I don't know how.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe like a week or so ago, I was still feeling, I don't know, like really nervous about doing stuff like that, because I was like, oh yeah, people are going to want to buy that. I think we talked about that briefly. Are people going to want to buy things like but it feels like the time is showing that people still want that sort of stuff. Like they still are purchasing things, and it's not truly the apocalypse. Like things are like ever evolving with it still, but obviously people are still keen to like engage and like
engage, support like independent designers, which is so nice.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah.
Like the amount of support through like just like sales or people messaging has been like really, really lovely, and I didn't really expect that. But yeah, it's great that they are. So that's why I'm sort of like, oh, there's still something we can do, whether I don't know how, but I feel like people still want to know more. They want more from It's My Party. Like there's so much there that we can, I guess, show them just from behind the scenes, really.
Yeah, get Martin on it. You can make another documentary.
Martin's available.
Well, I do have more questions, but I'm willing to wait. If you can, you can ask.
I literally just like quickly wrote down a couple. They're probably really shit, but yeah. So this is obviously the first time that I'd worked with both of you on a VAMFF event. It's like both of you haven't done a VAMFF event either. So Ellie, like was there anything that you wish you kind of knew before, I guess, you started planning and designing a collection like for the show?
Yeah, I mean, I think a major rookie mistake was launching a collection right before Christmas, then going on holiday for 3 weeks, and then only having like 2 months to put the It's My Party collection together whilst making pre-orders. Like that was, probably would not do that again. That was fucking crazy. Oh, sorry, my language. But I think I had to like smash all of my stuff I wanted to do for it in such a short amount of time that I feel like some of it I wasn't able to refine. I mean, you know how finicky I am when I work, so I find that some of the like shapes and stuff I wasn't like 100% like perfectly happy with. But I mean, I think that's probably just me being annoying.
What would you change? Were there any looks that I'm just the chimer in now?
Yeah.
Which looks were you most happy with, and then which looks would you have changed?
I think I was most happy with Tatanja's orange rosette dress, and and Maddie's dress I did for the little photo shoot. That's because those were the first. Yeah. Those were the first two I did, and I think ooh,
what is this?
Yeah, sorry, got notification.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Oh, we removed. Okay, love it. Anyway,
what was I saying? Yeah, those are the first two I did, so I think I was able to spend more time on them. And then I feel like maybe the pink mini dress I wasn't so happy with. I felt like it was slightly over designed because I kind of had to do it on the fly, and I wasn't 100% with it. Oh really?
Yeah.
It was on Christine.
My photo reference here.
So it was baby pink with like pleated, and it had like, did it have like sort of darker pink rosette kind of thing?
Yeah. Okay.
That.
I know. I'm like, what are you talking?
I liked the element of like netball skirt that was in it.
Yeah, they were kind of like reference tennis dresses basically, which I guess is like very similar to a netball outfit.
Trip down memory lane,
Just whip out the old little
Yeah. No, I loved that one. So declined that you were.
And I think maybe not having enough time to do styling stuff like extra fun kind of weird stuff that maybe you wouldn't get a chance to do? With that giant hat.
That extra.
Not enough, not tall enough.
I would have made the hat taller if given the chance.
And then try to transport it to Melbourne.
Yeah.
If hot potatoes had larger novelty chopsticks, I would have made that.
Oh god. Forgot you were there in the back, like hot glue gunning chopsticks inside. So good.
Yeah.
All that panic buying at hot potatoes the night before. Oh my god, you're like, guys, do we need this? Do we need this? I'm getting it all.
There's nothing like a panic shop at a $2 shop.
Oh, well, question for you, Rach. Like, what was, I guess, like your standout moment being, I guess, a part of the show, or like what your biggest sort of achievement you felt like that you did, whether that was in the collection or just being a part of it or transporting the cat?
Like doing it all felt like a real accomplishment, because this year for me personally has just been like such a challenge, just with like the juggling of the beb, with all the wanting to do, you know, everything. And, you know, trying to tell my brain that nothing has changed when everything has changed. So doing it all, I definitely felt like a sense of like accomplishment. And my favorite thing, absolutely, I'm gonna get cheesy, was like working with you guys. Like it was so nice to like I worked so much by myself. It was really great to like work with such like-minded people, and also different. Like obviously, like yeah, like we all love a Converse, but they're all
and the gingham. Don't forget the gingham.
Yeah, but like I really enjoyed that. I thought it was like a really fun week setting up and like doing it, and like kind of like all, because you know, like I loved that all our collections were different, but like we were complementing to achieve a common goal. Yet we were all telling our own story, and it was just really fun to work like that. And I don't know if you guys feel similarly, because you work probably kind of. Do you all have assistants, or do you?
No,
I just had George just like in the lead up.
Yeah. So it all kind of work a lot in solitude. So it was like really fun getting to like actually like work with some people for a common thing. So I really enjoyed that. But just doing it at all was like, I was like, how did this get pulled off? And on such a like, who took all those phone calls? Lara. How did this even happen? I don't know. But like, the fact that we could pull it off in whatever like hodgepodge way, you know, with everyone doing what they could, was great. Look, the big hat moment was a special moment for me too.
When that arrived, oh my god!
Yeah,
it arrived and the box was open.
Oh my god! But like the fact, like I feel like you got to see a glimpse behind the kimono, Lara, because I feel like everyone thinks like on Instagram and stuff, you know, I don't know what, I often get messages from people being like, how do you do it all? And it's just like, oh my god, life is crazy. Like, well, how do you think? Through like just chucking shit in a box and like
literally, I was like, the lady was complaining at my post office that you didn't use proper packing tape, and she's like, these boxes are arriving open.
I did use the Officeworks packing tape, but it wasn't very good. So, you know, Officeworks, lift your game. And I feel like the boxes they sell also like extra repel the tape. And I'm not dissing on Brisbane, but it's very humid here, and it like pushes the tape off the boxes. So that was a really long-winded answer, but like you would expect nothing less.
Yeah, that actually like leads on to one of my questions I had for you, Rach, was it really hard and frustrating being in a different city when me and Lara were kind of like, we could meet up every week to kind of chat, and most of the time we just ate food and like talk rubbish, but and had ice cream.
I've been professional jealousy, obviously, that you guys get to hang out. But look, honestly, if I'm being really honest, I feel like there's not even any time. I feel like I'm like, would I even be able to hang out? Like, because it's like almost good that you're in another state. Otherwise, I'd want to hang out, and then like, I'm like, would I even be able to? Because it's like that's the hard thing for me too. It's like such a juggle between like. That's why isolation works quite well for me, I must say. That it's like socializing or doing work. And if I lean into FOMO, then I'm like just punishing myself because it's like I'll just have to do the work deep in the night instead. So I mean, yeah, it was hard in some ways, but not in others. I think because I'm just used to working by myself, so I don't even get a cute luxury of hangouts. But I think if we do another show, I think I will find it harder because I'll be like, oh, I want to be there. Oh, if we are able and we're allowed to have public gatherings, like there's nothing stopping us from still doing a runway extravaganza of our own. However, it's more as well, absolutely, like, will we even be allowed to? Like, if social distancing continues until there's a vaccine found, like, what? And that's the thing too. It's like just this constant challenge now of being like diversifying, being nimble, being like, am I going to do a runway on my street? Like, what are we going to do? Like, you know? Yeah. Yeah, it's just weird. And that's what's been weird about this too, is just things that were certainties are no longer certain, in which case it's weird to plan ahead and look forward to things. Yeah, and also like there's obviously such a massive shift happening in the fashion industry as a whole anyway. I think we're going to see there's just going to be so many trickle-ons from this. It's just like you just said with Virgin. That's this has been so revealing about this thing. It's like if one thing goes down, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Everything that it's connected to, it's just like crazy.
Yeah. I know. So it's pretty hectic. So that's the thing, because I know that we sort of, you know, were on a big high after the show and we all like met up and we were like, oh my God, we already started instantly brainstorming for a new runway. And now it's like, will we even be able to do that? But obviously I still like want to do some sort of collective thing, but I guess we just sort of got to.
It's different to what we would have thought that it would be. Like, absolutely.
Interactive show.
Maybe it's a digital show.
You could always do a really elaborate fashion video or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or maybe we just work on this collection for 2 years, in which case Ellie might be
yes.
Oh my God.
Weeks to work on Fashion Week 2022.
Oh God.
I need that time, seriously.
Yeah, such a Harry Potter time at the moment. When they announced that Fashion Week was cancelled, I was in this like summit thing, and it was literally like they were like, the ministry has fallen.
Oh my God,
that's terrifying.
It feels like Dementors the breeding. What are you guys working on now? And how are you going to manage the next few weeks? Like, what are you vibing?
I'm literally just flat out doing orders, like just sewing cuddle coats nonstop, which is great. So I'm like getting through. Lucky I have like a big stash of like woolen blankets, so I'm slowly getting through them. But I'm literally just every day is like sewing. So it's keeping me busy, which is great. But also I kind of want to work on some new stuff. Like I did those little mirrors and bits and pieces, but they were just more like playing. I know.
Yeah, they were so cute.
I know, they're really cute. But apart from that, collection wise, have not even looked at that other than brainstorming for new runway collection. But that's more just brainstorming, not designing. So yeah.
Like fantasizing. I feel like at the moment it's such a weird time of fantasy. It's like, because you don't know what the future is. So it's like, what could I possibly do if I like, it's weird. What about you, Ellie?
It's kind of similar. Like I actually got a lot of orders over Easter, which was amazing. So I'm just kind of working through them. And just I think when I design, something that I'm so proud of, I go through that classic phase of I'm never gonna design anything as good as this. Nothing I do is gonna be as good as this. And then slowly it'll just like switch, and I'll have like loads of ideas for something new. That moment has not come yet, but I think it will in like the next month or two. That's a shame, but it kind of does make you think of looking at things in a different way and like researching things in different ways, because I do like to go to museums and stuff to get inspiration, but now obviously we're not allowed, so it's that kind of looking at what I've already got, or online.
Yeah, I go through that exact same cycle of like loving something but then just feeling like crushed by like the fact that I'm like, how like where do you even begin? Like even after the show I felt a bit like, oh my God, like, what do I, like, these were some of my favorite things. Like, where do you, like, how, like, I don't have any other ideas. And then, like, I particularly am like to go to museums and stuff to get reinvigorated. And I find that being on Pinterest or looking on Instagram to get, like, really depressing really quickly, because your brain just starts to form all these links that, like, already exist. And then when you design, so it's, like, better to go, like off track as opposed so that you can do something new, and obviously you can't do that now, so it's weird.
Or even doing stuff that's totally irrelevant to art and fashion really helps me as well, like going for a walk or whatever, like just stuff like that that's not anything to do with the city or like fashion or anything can be obviously so helpful just to clear your mind. But now, because we're obviously in our houses and our studios are in our houses, it's kind of like constantly just surrounded by the same thing.
I find that that's when you just start churning out the same stuff too, which is why then it's good to turn to those things that are just like repetitive, like Cuddle Coats or those old faithful orders and stuff like that.
And that's what I think it's sort of, that's where I'm kind of at the moment, other than a few like random little bits and pieces that I'm doing. But I feel like I'm not even in the mindset to start designing, like even close. Like I feel like that's going to be a while off. Like it's like, okay, I just want to keep those, normal orders and everything coming in and that workload coming in, and then look after this,
Yeah, it's the same. Like it's like you just want some security at the moment. You just want to do things that are like gonna, pay the bills and like just give you that sense of like working consistently
and keep your mind active. Just sort of doing, a routine, I guess, of just normality of how you normally work, and then and then I guess like after this, go out into the world and get like, re-inspired.
I feel like that's just a general aesthetic for most of our work is It's My Party. So that was like our good starting point. And then now it's like, but it seeps into everything I do, the childhood party vibe.
It keeps just like anything that I'm sort of doing, party element just keeps coming back in. I'm like, you're never going to leave, are you?
I'm feeling like continuously haunted by it. I keep wanting to make party hats. I keep wanting to like do the party things. I feel like I'm gonna have to learn it.
And that's why I was kind of saying, I was like, I feel like we haven't finished that chapter in a sense, like, because I think there was still stuff that we hadn't necessarily, shown people, like where there was backstage and how all that stuff we sort of discussed. And I feel like there's still so much there, not to make like a new collection or pieces or anything, but more just like an explanation and stuff, so it feels like it's more complete.
Retrospective,
it's sort of still like lingering there because it wants to be like, guys, I'm not finished yet. I still tell people, because I did like mood boards and stuff for all my things, like
OMG,
but I did this after the show, so and that's when we were like looking at the zine thing. So I was like doing all this planning, because I actually didn't do this like for the actual show, because like my sketches were horrendous. I don't know what I did. And then I my ratty sketches. Yeah, because what did you guys do? Do you have like, I know Ellie has amazing complete artworks of her outfits, but did you do that as well, Rach?
I always just have a book for every project I do. So I have my goodies book, and then I Oh my God, the most detailed sketches are the bloody ones that I did all in the wrong colours.
And all like the red and pink.
I think that was maybe the hardest bit about you being in a different city.
Was not being able to ask some simple questions. That would have been. It's funny seeing that was like the original design, which actually is for the best because that's very measly.
Yeah.
The whole collection.
I can't believe that when you were like, guys, so we're doing like red and pink here. I was like, Tipton Joe.
No.
Like, oh God, guys.
Just like scribblies. But then I think, let me have a look at this.
Yeah, let me have a look at mine. I've got.
Yeah, I'm very like just basic. I just like doing scribbles of the things.
Yeah, mine
and
are
like
scribbles as well.
Like this. Like just swatchy.
Oh yeah.
Like,
is that the one that you made for yourself?
Yeah. See, and that was something I was going to put into production, but then didn't because of the apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like this style.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much the whole collection.
But this is like my really horrible like.
Oh my God, that cherry hat. Yes.
Oh yeah, that didn't happen. Apparently there was meant to be a strawberry hat. I was looking through all this stuff when I was scanning bits and pieces in. And I was like, all this great stuff that never went into production. I was like, there's some great stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God, these are all the puppies for Grace, like doodles.
Oh, cute.
Cute.
There's so many like.
I love looking at sketches and then you see the real thing. Like, look at this shit sketch, but we got that.
Yeah.
That's a table. Yeah.
I know, that's the thing. This is all the stuff that I feel like people want to see as well. And because there's like so many cute little things, you know, whether it's like shitty pictures of like ruffle pants, and then it's like happy birthday candles. You know?
I mean, I love this shit. Absolutely. Yeah, seeing like where, I don't know. That's what I love. I mean, that's my favorite thing about like, putting on a show, doing the collections. It's like literally from your brain into reality. Hey.
How that happened, I don't know, because it was like more than I could have imagined. Like when I saw everything together, I was like, oh, we made this happen.
Yeah. And then I think that was the thing too. I think that looking back, I'm just like, so many. I think we talked about this a bit, Lara, that it was like so many things they still would have done. Like, I'm like, why did we not just shoot our collection in the space? Like, I didn't.
Oh my God, there was so many regrets.
I think that's my biggest regret, not taking photos of each look.
In the space, like totally styled on the models. We just, that last hour just went so quickly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I knew time would fly by, and that's why I was like, from the start of the day, I was like, okay, we need to get everything that, you know, just literally. And then it was like what Patience said. She's like, set it and leave it, you know, because I was like, every time I looked at the bar light or like the lights for the, you know, photo booth, I was like, someone needs to just turn them on now, set it up and leave, like, and then just leave it there. Don't be like, we'll do that later. I'm like, no, do it now. Someone's going to forget and then people are going to arrive and it's not there. Even like the reserve signs, it was just like, I was just like, shit. You know, it was just like that. And that's why I felt like we needed, I mean, I feel like we did a decent job in terms of delegating people tasks like that came earlier and be like, okay, can you please like, you know, look after, you know, doing this and this. So, but we just needed more hands on deck of people that just had specific jobs, I think. Just because I felt like I was running around nonstop and everyone was like, oh, Lara, can you grab this? Oh, can you go check this? Can you make sure is this okay? I'm like, oh my God, like, stop. I can't be in like 10 places at once. So I just, and that's the thing. And I was just like, we definitely need another photographer on board just because there was just so much content to shoot and it was hard.
If I did and just like I would get like just like someone to be on just social media for like each of us, you know, you'd have like a person for each of us who just worried about taking all the incidental photos, being Martin Scorsese, taking like individual close-ups. But that was my biggest regret because when I loved all the photos, but some of I was just like, oh, I just wish I had like a complete I can't even believe I didn't get like a complete just standing still look of like so many. I was like, what is wrong with me?
Also, I think a video just of the show, like totally unedited, nothing, but with a good view, obviously, would have been amazing. And I'm like, obviously we were going to want that. Why didn't I just get like a boyfriend to do it or something?
But that
was a bit silly.
That's what feels weird too. It's like I feel like we want to take all the things that we learned and apply them to like the next show. I think it's like I want to use these learnings, but maybe I can't.
We will, just maybe not as soon as we want.
That's and you know, maybe it'll just be the better anyway. It'll be like the most fully realized thing ever.
Yeah.
By the time
we have lots of time to like plan out details and everything. Because that was my one thing, and I was like, I don't even have a picture of my looks, and I was like, how, you know, and that, and you know, it could have been also that we got our models into clothes like reasonably late, just so because they were eating and things like that. So you know, it's just kind of a little bit.
There were absolutely reasons for everything, and the reason why we probably couldn't last like even like half an hour was because people could see through the windows, and I think that was just something we hadn't factored in, and we didn't realize until people were standing at the windows, and we were like, oh shit.
Also, people came so early, and you had to let them in because they were just like
people were there. I reckon from like 5:15. Yeah,
I think what we do next time is like get people in hair and makeup, and even if that happened at like 4, you would then just be like immediately go and see the photographer in the space. Like as soon as you're done, then you can come and have snacks and
then you can eat.
Then that's your reward.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, there's things like that which we can definitely like, you know, when next time comes around, we can you know, make sure it happens and be on top of it. But yeah, I think regardless, we did an amazing job. Well done, team.
Well done, guys. Like, how good if Daisy could walk in our show?
Oh my god, little Jack.
I know. Imagine Otis as well. The big floofy.
Oh, Otis could wear a waistcoat. Oh
my god. All right, I'm really gonna go. I'm glad I could leave you with that. Bye.
Bye. Bye. See ya.